Haji Wright struck twice for Coventry City as the Sky Blues recovered from losing their lead twice to overcome Oxford United in a 3-2 win in front of the Coventry fans. Coventry's favoured forward Haji Wright was back in the starting lineup. He'd been recovering from injury and started in the EFL Cup in midweek, so they were happy, Coventry fans, to see Haji Wright back in the team. Mark Robins also brought Josh Eccles in for Jamie Allen in midfield and Joel Latte-Baudier at centre-back in for Bobby Thomas. Oxford were unchanged from their win last week as Des Buckingham had followed their opening day championship win with a 2-0 win over Peterborough in the EFL Cup as well. With Wright back in the lineup, it took just 15 minutes for him to score the first of the campaign for Coventry. A hanging cross from Milan van Ewijk saw Wright get on the run of his marker, beat him to the ball and powered home a header from close range. Last season it was 16 championship goals for Wright and he'll be hoping to hit high numbers again this season. Now, Coventry should have been 2-0 up really. Wright's low cross just evaded Ellis Sims for a tap-in and Oxford ended up punishing them for this. Bouncing ball into the box hit Sims' shin and no one in the Coventry defence took charge of it. Kieran Brown reacted first for Oxford, striking low into the bottom corner and equalising for the newly promoted team. After just half an hour, though, Coventry went back in front. A clever dummy from Tatsuhiro Sakamoto on the edge of the box allowed Van Ewijk to come onto the ball, hitting it strongly, an arrowed finish which went through two Oxford players' legs into the far corner. The second half came and Oxford equalised again, but there was a hint of comedy about this one. Ruben Rodriguez attempted a diving header pretty much on the floor. It looked like it was heading wide, wasn't going anywhere. Before it hit Harris, he reacted kind of at the same time as it hit him with his groin. A tight offside call about it, but they did give him on. He scored his second of the campaign, bringing Oxford level again. Oxford goalkeeper Jason Cumming then went into hero mode, stopping first a point-blank header from Lewis Binks from a corner before a double save, denying first Haji Wright down to his left before reacting and getting up to block the incoming rebound from substitute Efron Mason-Clark. Cumming made a total of 7 saves over the course of the evening. Get the feeling he's been making more for them this season. There was one huge final moment to come though, as all of Cummings' heroics could do nothing when Wright read a misplaced back pass from Will Vaulks and then he was calm and collected as he ran through on goal, dropped a shoulder down to the left, rounded the goalkeeper to give Coventry the dramatic and exciting win that they were looking for. Important 3 points for Coventry after last week, and Oxford will be disappointed in the manner of how the game slipped away from them, but ultimately competed very well, a very good Coventry side. Next up for Coventry, it's a trip to Bristol City to face Liam Manning's Robins, while Oxford are on the road again with an away match at Ewood Park against Blackburn Rovers. Derby County delighted as they win on their home return to the Championship. Caden Jackson secures a 1-0 win over Middlesbrough. Paul Warne made a singular change from last week's opening defeat against Blackburn Rovers. James Collins came into the forward line. On the other side, Middlesbrough also made one change from their win last weekend, with new signing Delano Bergzoig, who scored in the cup midweek, coming in wide left for Riley McGree. 14 minutes in and Borough caused their own downfall after a dreadful back pass from Messiah Jones. It was well short of finding goalkeeper Seni Dieng. Caden Jackson read it and found himself clear on goal. Had a lot of time, but he calmly dribbled past Dieng, sliding home right-footed for the home side and sending the Rams supporters into celebrations. And Middlesbrough did have some chances. Their best combination in the first half saw a 1-2 on the edge of the box between Jones and Finazaz. It led to a left-footed Jones effort, which was palmed away well down low to his right by keeper Josh Vickers. Derby were forced into changes at half-time as they lost both defenders Ian Cashin and Kane Wilson to injury as Borough continued to push for the equaliser. In the second half, Hayden Hackney had a long-range effort well saved, and his chip ball to the back post of Bergzoid was chalked off for offside. As Borough dominated the ball all afternoon with 70% possession, Michael Carrick's side also hit the post through a deflected Bergzoid shot as they continued to press, but Derby held firm for a 1-0 victory. Warne was honest in his assessment after the game. He said he thought they rode their luck at times, not pretending they didn't, but to win games of football, there's a lot of things that come into it. We win 1-0 at home and our best player is Josh Vickers. Everything he did today was bang on the money and that's why I brought him to the club. He's an amazing goalkeeper. Borough will be disappointed with most of their chances coming from distance. They recorded 5 shots on target and 11 shots off target. Didn't bring about any goals for them, while Derby only recorded 3 shots in total. Carrick did comment, we were off it in a couple of moments at the beginning of the game and we've definitely got to get better at that and be a bit more ruthless and smarter in how we start the game, but we will get there. Now, Derby face a trip next to Watford away at Vicarage Road next weekend, while Middlesbrough return to the Riverside to face a team with 2 draws so far in Portsmouth. Newly promoted Portsmouth were held by 10 men at Luton Town on their home championship return, with Thomas Kaminski sent off in the first half for the visitors. Portsmouth made a solitary change up front as Christian Saidi led the line as he did in the midweek EFL Cup defeat by Millwall, while Elias Sorensen dropped to the bench. Jordan Clark came into Luton Town midfield for Zach Nelson, and Amari Bell was back to bolster the defence, with Joseph Johnson making way. Now, in the match, there were chances for both sides in a very open start to the game. Carlton Morris and Adebayo both forced save from Will Norris in the Pompey goal. Kaminski tipped a Conor Shaughnessy header over the bar, but that was about as good as it got for Kaminski. And Luton were up against it after half an hour. Thomas Kaminski, as we mentioned, already on a booking for taking too long on multiple goal kicks, came flying out of his goal to deal with the long ball, completely misjudged it and wiped out Portsmouth forward Paddy Lane. It was rash to say the least. It put Luton down to 10 men, and Rob Edwards was forced to take off Carlton Morris to bring on backup keeper James Shea. Other than a comfortable stop from a Callum Lang header, Shea, making just his third appearance since April 2022, did not have much to do as Luton defended really well to limit Portsmouth's chances. With the match finishing 0-0, Portsmouth boss John Massinho commented, "We caused some problems for Luton, one of which resulted in the red card for their keeper, but we struggle against sides that go down to 10 men. Luton sat very deep in the second half and let us have the ball, but we needed to make better use of it." Luton boss Rob Edwards talked about the challenge with sending off, saying, "With 11 men, I thought we were quick and dynamic and should have been 1 or 2 up. And even down to 10 men, we showed a different side to ourselves." Next week, it is an away fixture for Portsmouth as they travel up the country to face Middlesbrough at the Riverside, as Luton Town look for their first win of the season away at Preston North End. West Brom and Leeds shared a goalless draw at the Hawthorns as 2 of last season's playoff-reaching teams shared the points as neither team could make a breakthrough. Carlos Corberán named an unchanged side from the team that beat QPR last weekend after changing the entire team for their midweek cup defeat against Fleetwood Town, while Daniel Farke has been forced into his change with Jorginho Rutter seeing his £40 million release clause activated by Brighton and Hove Albion. So Joel Pirel came in from the start, having been a sub last week. The game saw just 2 efforts on target as they rather cancelled each other out. Pascal Struijk almost opened the scoring, however, just before half-time, with a really good header from a set piece which deflected just wide of the post for Leeds. After 15 minutes, the game finally saw a shot on target as Jason Malumbi hit a strike straight at Ilya Meslier after some good work in the box by John Swift. It was rather symbolic of any lack of any goal threat over the entire 90 minutes, to be honest. Ethan Ampadu also found the goalkeeper with a header from an Elia Gruer free kick, but just as Malumbi, he found the centre of the goalkeeper, this time in Alex Palmer, and Struijk headed wide late on as the game ended up finishing 0-0. Carlos Corberán said in his interview after, "We worked hard, we showed a lot of commitment. Leeds have one of the strongest teams in the Championship, but this result was fair according to the chances created by both teams." Daniel Farke added from the Leeds perspective, "After conceding 6 goals in 2 games, compliments to my players for their reaction to get a priceless point. I've not won many games here over the years, and I just wanted to show our unity, that we are a proper team." Now, Leeds, you expect to still be busy in the transfer market with all those outgoings, adding Rutter to the situation now. So plenty going on with Leeds, of course. Next weekend, they'll go searching for their first win in the Championship campaign away at Sheffield Wednesday on Friday night, while West Brom will travel to Stoke next weekend with their unbeaten record still intact. Bristol City and Millwall played out a 7-goal thriller at Ashton Gate, with their new signing Scott Twine popping up with minutes to go to secure a 4-3 victory for the Robins. Now, Bristol City were unchanged as Liam Manning named the same team that started the draw with Hull on the opening weekend, while Neil Harris followed suit with the same 11 that he used on Matchday 1. The Robins started on fire as Anis Mehmeti scored after just 3 minutes, controlling a cross not dealt with to fire home from close range, before Sinclair Armstrong got his first for Bristol City with an unmarked header meeting Matt Spur's cross from the left wing. Millwall struck back after 51 minutes, Romain Esse tricking his way past the defender in the box and burying a low right-footed shot past Max O'Leary. It was just 3 minutes later, Millwall were level. Tom Bradshaw sent O'Leary the wrong way from the penalty spot after George Tanner had blocked a Duncan Watmore's header with his hand. Watmore was then on hand to put Millwall ahead in the 64th minute as they turned the game on its head, superbly caressing a high right-footed volley beyond O'Leary's dive from 12 yards. But Bristol City were not finished. They were still in the fight. Substitute Fally Mayulu exchanged passes with Bird before sending a low drive inside the far post with 12 minutes remaining. Mayulu's scored twice now in 2 weeks, so it's looking promising for him with Bristol City. And Scott Twine's winner came the day after he completed a permanent move from Burnley. He was, of course, on loan at Ashton Gate last season. He got on the end of a Joe Williams cross from the right to score from the edge of the 6-yard box. Bristol City winning 4-3 in a thrilling encounter. Now, Bristol City are at home again next weekend as they play Coventry City, while Millwall go searching for their first points in the Championship this season away at Hull. Burnley went 2 out of 2 with 9 Championship goals as they demolished Cardiff City 5-0 at Turf Moor on the second match day of the season. Scott Parker made a change to his goalkeeper with new signing Vaclav Hladky coming in for James Trafford as Jay Rodriguez came in as well for the departing Wilson Odobert, who's on his way to Spurs. The first goal was an absolute nightmare from a Cardiff point of view for the goalkeeper Ethan Horvath. Just before the 10-minute mark, a basic back pass rolled under his foot into the empty net. Real embarrassment for the American goalkeeper to give Burnley the lead. Cardiff responded by hitting a post through Yaku Mate as he stretched with his finish and had a goal disallowed for Wilfred Kanga, who was well offside from a corner flick on. But on 31 minutes, Burnley doubled their lead as Jay Rodriguez streaked away down the right. The ball fell in the box to Luca Koleosho, who lashed in for 2-0 at a stage where Cardiff were possibly on top. Josh Brownhill furthered the scoreline in the second half as they took advantage of Callum O'Dowda losing possession as he finished for 3 in 3 games for Brownhill. Before Burnley took advantage of some sloppy Cardiff play for Zeki Amdouni to crash a strike under the underside of the bar, with the goal decision system having to confirm that the ball had indeed crossed the line. At the end of last season, Johan Berg Gudmundsson had said his goodbyes to the club, but when Vincent Kompany left, he signed a new contract with the Clarets and marked it with Burnley's 5th, a powerful finish, cutting inside from outside the box in stoppage time. Cardiff's last win at Turf Moor came back in 1988, and this now stretches their winless run against Burnley away from home to 17 games. Scott Parker praised Burnley's problem solving and clinical finishing to give them 2 wins out of 2 with 9 goals scored. Next up for Burnley, it's a trip to the northeast to face Sunderland, first versus second under new manager Regis Lebris, while Cardiff go looking for their first points in the slight matter of the South Wales derby away at rivals Swansea City. Yuki Ohashi scored his 3rd goal in 3 games for Blackburn as his late goal denied the Norwich comeback at Carrow Road in a 2-2 draw. Blackburn finally confirmed that Sammy Smodic had departed for Ipswich Town 24 hours before the game, but the first team remained unchanged from their opening night victory. Norwich, on the other hand, made 3 changes as Ben Chisane, Forson Amankwa and Gabriel Forsyth all came into the team. So as the match started, Norwich started really brightly. Josh Sargent had 2 opportunities, one nicking the ball off Sondre Tronstad and fired narrowly wide before he crashed a header against the underside of the bar. It was Blackburn who opened the scoring, however, as goals have been free-flowing for Rovers in the opening matches of the season. New signing Maktar Gay found Ryan Hedges on the left and he provided a smart finish, dinking it over goalkeeper Angus Gunn to give the visitors the lead. Ainsley Pears was called into action with a flying save from Gabriel Forsyth and again denying Sargent. But Pears almost undid all his good work with a poor pass in his own box, gifting the ball to Boya Sainz, who laid across to Sargent, only denied by a brilliant saving block from Tronstad. In the second half, though, Sargent finally got his goal, an emphatic finish after he was freed down the left by Callum Doyle. He found the top corner with power and accuracy to bring the Canaries level. Norwich had turned the game in 8 minutes when Sargent this time turned provider to square across for Sainz to touch in at the far post for a 2-1 lead. But Blackburn, however, found that important response. Callum Britton found some space on the right wing, swung an across to find Ohashi darting in and heading it in to continue the Japanese forward's great start to the new season. John Eustace commented that he was disappointed not to have come away with more actually, while Norwich boss Thorpe felt they should have killed the game. So that 2-2 draw leaves Norwich still looking for their first win of the new season. They will host next Premier League relegated Sheffield United, while Blackburn look to maintain their unbeaten record at Ewood Park as they welcome Oxford United. Plymouth and Hull shared the points at Home Park as they both still look for their first wins of the season, as Ibrahim Sissoko's strike was cancelled out by Louis Coyle's equaliser. Wayne Rooney made 4 changes for Plymouth from the opening day defeat to Sheffield Wednesday, as he really didn't hold back in that post-match press conference. Ryan Hardy and Joe Edwards coming in for the injured Tihani and Poulsen, while Barley Mumba and Adam Randall came into the first 11 as well. Hull meanwhile moved Ryan Giles to left back, with Liam Miller in at left midfield as Matty Jacob dropped out. Plymouth looked more settled than they did last week and probably had the better of the first half without any clear-cut opportunities to speak of. But they went ahead after the restarts thanks to their loan signing from Toulouse. Ibrahim Sissoko showed some excellent feet in the box to find himself a yard and bury a finish beyond Hull keeper Ivor Panda. Ryan Hardy was also involved in the build-up, but glimpses of the talent that Sissoko possesses will be a real positive for Plymouth fans. But 10 minutes later, the Tigers are able to get themselves level. A clever 1-2 played with Liam Miller, and Louis Coyle scored just his 3rd goal in 4 years with a very good left-footed half volley. Hull continued to pile forward, but they did leave themselves vulnerable at the back and were grateful to Panda, who ensured a second successive league draw with a couple of fine saves towards the end. Rooney felt they could have won the game, and he commented that it was night and day from last week. He said there's lots of positives following up from last week. We had real energy and commitment and showed aggression at the right times. While Hull manager was more downbeat. It was going to be a hard season, a long season if every game is like this. Every game is a tough game. It's very competitive. Rooney will take Plymouth to Loftus Road next up against QPR, with both teams yet to pick up a win this championship season, while Hull City will host Millwall on one of the Saturday lunchtime kickoffs. Substitute Lyndon Dykes secured a point for QPR away at Sheffield United, fighting back from 2 goals down at Bramall Lane. Chris Wilder named an unchanged team from their opening night win against Preston, as QPR made a quadruple change in their lineup. Jonathan Varane and Karamoko Dembele both making their debuts, as Alfie Lloyd and Michael Frey also came in from the start. The opening goal of the game came just 6 minutes in. It was former Coventry duo of Callum O'Hare and Gus Hamer, who combined as O'Hare laid it into the path of Hamer, who struck hard and true into the bottom left-hand corner of the QPR's goal. Just 7 minutes later and the duo were causing havoc again. Great work from O'Hare down the left, shrugging off Varane and racing away, before slotting it to overlapping Hamer on the left-hand side. He crossed to Kiefer Moore, who had peeled off to the back post for a tap-in and his first goal for the club. With 7 goals for Ipswich last season on loan, the Blades will be hoping for good numbers from their new striker. QPR were improved in the second half and they looked to rescue a game that was getting away from them. With 35 minutes still to go, Jimmy Dunn rose at the near post from a Dembele corner as he held off his front post marker to flick into the far corner, leaving keeper Adam Davis no chance. Jack Colback did make things harder though for Rangers, with 2 silly bookings for descent just 4 minutes apart from each other. However, for QPR, the lively Koki Sato, who came off the bench, made a real difference. His run down the right-hand side, cut inside, found the run of Lyndon Dykes just 2 minutes from time to rescue a point for QPR, with a good finish from Dykes just inside the box. Sheffield United's search for a league win at Bramall Lane goes on. Chris Wilder said, "We left the door open after a fabulous start and we just went off plan, went individual and lost control of the game. It ended up becoming a game of basketball. It wasn't that we were getting pummeled, but it wasn't the control we should have had when we were 2-0 up in a game." The Blades face a trip to Norwich next Saturday, while Zafuentes will take his side to Plymouth and Wayne Rooney in their next championship fixture. Swansea City enjoyed their home opening championship game with a 3-0 win over Preston North End and a strong attacking display from the Swans. Luke Williams made 2 changes for Swansea as Ronald came on for Abdullah Azim out wide and Oliver Cooper replaced Jay Fulton in midfield. Preston made 4 changes as Jordan Storey, Ryan Ledson, Mads Frankiel Jensen and Robbie Brady all made their first championship starts for the season. Swansea were well on top in the first half, reacting to their defeat by Middlesbrough with a fast start. Both wingers were the key creative threats, creating lots of early chances. Goncalo Franco fired over with an audacious bicycle kick, and Josh Tymon had a low shot which was saved by former Swans keeper Freddie Woodman. Preston, however, could have been ahead at the break when Robbie Brady dispossessed Josh Key, but he shot straight at Lawrence Vigouroux. Ji Sung put in a cross which hit the hand of Liam Lindsay though, and they saw a penalty awarded to Swansea. Matt Grimes stepped up as captain and his left foot powered it into the net for the lead. In the second half, Ollie Cooper took advantage of a block cross to find some space and shoot goalwards for it to deflect off the unsuspecting Abdullah Azim, who had come off the bench, to make it 2-0. With the final 10 minutes coming into play, another substitute, Zan Zepotnik, scored on his home debut, firing home close range after Ronald's cross, making it 3-0 to Swansea. Preston well beaten for the second week in a row. Preston captain Ben Whiteman spoke to the media saying, really poor. The goals are the biggest concern for us. We created some good chances. It's a different game if those go in, but hindsight's a great thing. It's been a really tough week. It's rare that a manager leaves after the first game. It's up to the lads to do a lot better. He is, of course, referring to the fact Ryan Lowe left as manager for Preston in midweek. Who they're going to get, we'll wait and see, but Preston really need to sort something out and quickly. Swansea now have a mouth-watering home match up next as it's the first South Wales derby of the season, hosted by the Swans against their rivals Cardiff City. While Preston return home as well and they will host Rob Edwards' Luton Town. Watford kept their 100% record with a 3-0 win at Vicarage Road when they took on Stoke City, with all 3 goals coming in the second half for the Hornets. Tom Cleverley made one change to his lineup in defence from the opening day, James Morris coming in for Ryan Porteous, while Stoke were unchanged from their opening day victory over Coventry City. In the first half, Stoke keeper Johansson was forced into a couple of saves from long-range efforts, but he was unable to hold on to a stinging long shot from Ryan Andrews, which deflected up and saw Ido Kayamba react quickest to open the scoring for Watford. Johansson will likely be disappointed with the second that Stoke conceded as well. Yasso Larucci's shot was palmed away and miskicked by the defender as it came back out. It fell to Andrews in a great position, who returned back to the other side of the goal for a 2-0 lead. Kayemba's second of the game, which was his third of the season, came after a quick breakaway down the right. His powerful shot took a deflection, but it was too hot to handle, going in via the keeper's hand, post and then the bar. It was a game where Watford turned it on more in the second half after Stoke were well within the game within the first half, but it got away from them as the match went on. Watford manager Tom Cleverley commented, "We didn't have the ideal pre-season results-wise, but I'm glad the lads still believed in the process and the principles that we are trying to coach." While Stoke's Stephen Schumacher said, "Obviously we are disappointed with the result and the outcome. We felt the first half we played really well." So Watford are at home for the second successive weekend up next in Matchday 3 as Derby County are the visitors, while Stoke City will face an unbeaten West Bromwich Albion on Saturday. Sheffield Wednesday saw a reverse of their 4-0 opening weekend win as Sunderland put 4 past them at the Stadium of Light in a dominant display for the home side. Regis Lebris made a singular change to Sunderland's lineup as Alan Brown missed out with a muscle injury, though reports are suggesting he might not be out for too long. Chris Rigg, the 17-year-old, came in for Brown, while Sheffield Wednesday were unchanged from the side that demolished Plymouth last weekend. Sunderland came out the blocks really up for business at the Stadium of Light, incredibly finding themselves 3-0 up after 24 minutes. A brilliantly worked free kick saw Patrick Roberts curl the ball to the head of Sirkin unmarked at the back post. With a screen of Sunderland players, they protected his run, really clever move, and the left back headed precisely past Owls goalkeeper James Beadle. Eliza Mayenda then doubled Sunderland's lead 4 minutes later as Wednesday were caught out thanks to poor flick touch from Josh Windass. It came straight into the path of Mayenda, who curled it past the Wednesday keeper. Stadium of Light absolutely bouncing. Luke O'Nien then added a goal from last week, superbly worked another set piece which saw 17-year-old Chris Rigg hit a strike from outside the box, deflect up as O'Nien continued his run to poke past the goalkeeper. Sheffield Wednesday did think that they were back in it with a Svante English in goal, but it was disallowed as Lebris set his side up the same way after the break, and the contest was all but over. 2 minutes afterwards, Mayenda finished off a fine team mover, his second goal of the game. Roberts threw a ball set Jack Clark away down the left. He hit a cross which found Mayenda free in the middle, and he tapped home past the Sheffield Wednesday keeper. After a 4-0 win opening day, Wednesday fans must be wondering what a difference a week makes. Sunderland make it 2 out of 2 as Lebris gets off to a perfect start for the Black Cats. Now Sunderland are at home again next week and the top of the table clash now between themselves and early pace setters Burnley at the Stadium of Light, while Sheffield Wednesday will be looking to bounce back against Leeds United on Friday night.